The USA has been destroyed already. Submitted by James Robinson, aka Youssef Khalim. Empires come, empires go. The USA is head of the Eighth World Empire, consisting of the USA, UK, EU, NATO, Canada, and Australia. The empire is being destroyed by Trump, Putin, Republican teabaggers, and other demons. The previous empires include Egypt, about 3100 BC, Assyria, 676 BC, Babylonia, 612 BC, Persia, 539 BC, Greece, 331, Rome, 168 BC. The Seventh Empire includes the USA, UK, Canada, Australia, and it was formed about 1946. The Eighth Empire includes the Seventh Empire plus NATO and the European Union, and it occurred about 1991. How the USA is described in the Bible. Number 1, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Daniel 2:43. This describes its racist, apartheid, hypocritical, and racially diverse hybrid characteristics. Number 2, and they worship the dragon which gave power to the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, Who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Revelation 13:4. This describes its military superiority. Number 3, and the beast that was, and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition, goes to hell. Revelation 17:11. The USA is head of the seventh, eighth, and last world power. Number 4, and cinnamon, and odors, and ointment, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, and slaves, and souls of men. Revelation 18:13. This describes the wealth, decadence, and evil in the country. Number 5, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Revelation 13:17. The eighth world power can put severe economic sanctions on its adversaries. South Africa, Panama, Iraq, Iran, and others learned this lesson. Your leaders, elites, talking heads, and so-called scholars don't know this. They are clueless. Prophet Muhammad is the reincarnation of Moses. Thomas Jefferson is the reincarnation of Jacob, aka Israel, and Caliph Umar. And I am alive today, born this time as Jimmy James, a variation of Jacob. Also, Barack Obama is the reincarnation of Abraham Lincoln. Reincarnation in the scriptures, Matthew 16:14. And they said, Some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. Matthew 17:11-13. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist. Matthew 22:31-32 says, But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have ye not read that which was spoken unto you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob? God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. In chapter 39:42, the Holy Quran says, It is Allah who takes away the souls at the time of their death, and those that die not during their sleep. He keeps those souls for which he has ordained death and sends the rest back for a term appointed. Unquote. In chapter 2:22, it says, how can you disbelieve in Allah, saying that you were dead, and he gave you life? Then he will give you death, then again will bring you to life, and then unto him you will return. That's reincarnation. The USA is the biblical Israel. It is a mirror of ancient Israel. The 42 prophet kings, philosopher, priests of Matthew and Luke mirror the first 42 presidents of the USA. The USA is also head of the 7th, 8th, and last world power, which is a renewal of Greece, Rome, and actually all the preceding empires, Western empires. Thomas Jefferson is the reincarnation of Jacob, aka Israel, and Caliph Umar. Prophet Muhammad is the reincarnation of Moses. That's a reminder. And here we have that mirror. And let's see what description they have of it. The comparisons of the prophet kings and the presidents show the similar or the opposite. Some of the comparisons are listed below. Number 1, Abraham and George Washington moved away from their nations and started new nations. Washington was a warrior. Abraham fought against Chedorlaomer. Genesis 14:5. Number 3, Jacob, that is Israel, is the father through his offspring of the Hebrew nation and the West. Jefferson is the father of the ideals of the USA. Franklin Pierce, number 14, became the youngest president of his time. He hastened the Civil War by signing the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854. David was a young warrior, and the best in his character was the opposite of Pierce's. Number 15, Solomon was wise and had about 1,000 wives, so they say. James Buchanan is considered one of the worst presidents because of his lack of judgment and moral courage, and the only bachelor president. Number 16, Abraham Lincoln saved the Union and is considered a moral individual. His counterpart, Rehoboam, presided over the breakup of the Jewish state into Judah and Israel. Rehoboam was immoral. Number 28, Woodrow Wilson was once considered to be a good man. His counterpart, Jeconiah, was a scoundrel. Number 30, Calvin Coolidge said the business of America is business. Salathiel, the counterpart, said the business of Israel was justice and righteousness. Number 39, Jacob, of course, is another word which means James, Jimmy, Israel, and it means he who would provide service to his fellow man. So Jimmy Carter works for Habitat, an organization that provides services from man to his fellow man. Number 40, Joseph, Jesus' father, helped to prepare a channel that became the hope of humanity. The world is forever indebted to him. He went to Egypt to avoid death to his son. The counterpart, Ronald Reagan, presided over the USA, becoming the world's biggest debtor nation. Also, the national debt went from $1 trillion to $3 trillion. Reagan invaded tiny Grenada and bullied other small nations. He also said things that had little or no resemblance to facts. Many USA citizens just loved Reagan. Number 41, 42. Jesus was oppressed and escaped to Egypt to save his life. As the Christ, number 42, he made a way for many, to save many lives, to tell the truth, to heal the sick, to give man hope, to free the captives, to be of service, to feed the hungry, to lift the oppressed, to comfort the weary, to encourage those who fight against evil, to lead man back to his final destination. Bush, number 41, the counterpart to Jesus, invaded Panama. He killed the children and women and men in his way. He murdered tens of thousands of children, women, and men in Iraq. The USA citizens loved it. Jesus the oppressed, Bush the oppressor. Opposites. During the time of Bill Clinton, number 42, the price of oil declined to about $10 to $11 per barrel. Surpluses appeared in the federal budget. The internet and the dot-com bubble appeared, and some thought that the Clinton era prosperity signaled the end of regular economic cycles. And this reminds us of Jesus feeding the multitude of 5,000 men plus women and children with 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and taking up after everyone had eaten 12 baskets full of fragments that remained. Matthew 14:17 through 21. And the 4,000 men plus women and children fed with 7 loaves and a few little fishes. And they took up of the broken meat that was left 7 baskets full. Matthew 15:34 through 38. After Jesus left the scene, and after Stephen was stoned in 34 AD, the covenant with ancient Israel ended, and the dispensation, the mission or torch, was given in turn to the Christians, and then to the Muslims, and after Clinton, the covenant with America ended, so the Supreme Court selected the next president, George W. Bush. Empires have a lifespan. They are born, they die. Nature, or God, takes care of that by any means necessary, unquote. Today, the U.S. presidency is destroyed. The DOJ, the Senate GOP, the Republican Party, the executive branch of government, and many state institutions or governments subordinated to the Trump satanic cult. Essentially, the USA has been destroyed. Now go back and look at the mirror. Go back and look at the mirror. The destruction of the Eighth World Empire is a marker indicating other events. Daniel 2:34. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. That's significant. They said that the stone hit the bottom first, which was interesting. Hit the feet of iron and clay and break them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. That's Christ. That's Christ. That's the power of God that did that. That's doing that. Number 44. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. Also, Daniel 9:24 through 27 explains the state of Israel, this current entity. It is a scam, a fraud, a con job, a wet dream of the devil. There is no legitimate basis for the existence of the state of Israel. Should Israel exist, Daniel 9:24 through 27 says, 70 weeks or 490 years beginning in 457 BC are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and set up the vision and the prophecy, and to anoint the most holy, Jesus the Messiah. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem in 457 BC unto Messiah, the prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks, that is a total of 69 weeks or 483 years, unto the year 27 A.D. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. And after 7 weeks and 62 weeks, 69 weeks or 483 years, plus 3.5 years, shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. That's 7 years, from 27 A.D. through 34 A.D. And in the midst of the week, or in mid 30 A.D., he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and from the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate. When the apostate Jews killed the apostle Stephen in 34 A.D., Acts 7:57 through 59, the covenant with ancient Israel ended. That's the end of Israel. That Israel. Why the USA was destroyed. In Scripture, the Eighth Empire is known as 666, Babylon the great Satan, iron feet mixed with miry clay, etc. Daniel 2:43. It does evil, lying, cheating, stealing, murder, oppression, regime change, genocide, slavery, etc. It does all of that. And it denies responsibility for its actions. Recently, it laid siege to Iran and Venezuela for no reason except to show how evil and satanic it is. Please note, the illegitimate fake presidency of Trump and other negative things happening to the USA are punishment for its sins, past and present. It's called karma. Now that the USA has been destroyed, we must create a new, just, fair, honest, and equitable nation under God. This is important. Please have the integrity and courage to print this op-ed, unless it has too much truth in it. And thanks. Sincerely submitted by James Robinson, aka Youssef Khalim. Please give this video the thumbs up. Check out my books under the name Youssef Khalim at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and elsewhere. And thanks for reading. Thanks for listening. Take care.